everything's bigger in Texas, including Georgia's defense. Filmed on live from UGAsports.com. Dayne Young, Brent, Rollins. We did an entire video already on Georgia's pressure that it got linebackers, defensive line, sacking Quinn Ewers, pressuring Arch Manning. Other parts of the defense, though, allowed some of that to happen as well. So that's what we're focusing on in this video. Everything else, this is mainly about Georgia's defensive backs, but then also maybe some run game, run defense stuff as well. So Brent,
and maybe a place or two they got really lucky.
That does happen sometimes, where it's not all rainbows and unicorns. There's a little luck involved too. Hey, we're presented by ASW Distillery, Oconee Gold Barbecue Sauce, and Breda Pest Management. Let's hop right in here, because people have heard our overall thoughts about Georgia's defense in the other video. If they haven't, you can flip over there, subscribe to us on this YouTube channel or Facebook page to make sure that you see all of our Film Don't Lie videos. And we start, to me, the redemption game overall, and I get it wasn't perfect, but the redemption game for Dayne Everette.
Yeah, and this was one where, from a concept standpoint, I was shocked that Texas didn't do more of this, because to me, when you have a non-mobile quarterback, and even when you have a mobile quarterback, this play is basically, well, as we get to it again.
Well,
but it's split zone action.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Split zone action with 85, the tight end helm coming across, and you're not blocking the end man on the line of scrimmage. And if they crash down to take the back, which, by the way, Chaz does here as he should, you flip it out to the guy really quick. And what's interesting here with this is, one, it's good job of Everett coming up and being physical. Two, I think Georgia had a very keen eye on 85 and wanted to make sure that he didn't beat them with everything. But still, he, in the sort of the core of the game, when the game was in doubt, he had 4 catches for 21 yards. He had a couple of big plays late in the game. I think one of those we're going to show in this one, but it wasn't until late in the game that he actually got free and was running somehow uncovered. The other part of this is Jalen Walker is the right inside linebacker. This is why he doesn't play inside linebacker unless he's moving forward. Like he's got to know that's there. Like he should be instantly sprinting out to that, into that hook zone, and then going to 85. He's a little late to that, but still very physical tackle from Everett. Outside of a couple missed tackles, he was that very physical in this game.
Eyes here to recognize what's going on in front. And you see what would be left behind here, but it was a pretty quick declaration that ball's going to 85.
Yep.
Just very well played. Everett, I thought, great game. Okay.
So in terms of, this is the 4th play of the game. And if you're a Georgia fan and it's the 4th play of the game and this play happens, I'm sure there was a lot of people at home who were probably sitting there like, crap, here we go. Can't set any edges again. Edge runs are going to kill us again. This is that sort of theme. But because, look here, you got Michael, I think, kind of playing around inside a little too much, thinking that the ball might be handed off, like sort of downhill, I guess, but still messing around inside too much. Humphrey's in man, so he goes inside he's on 5 right there, covered up on 5. So he's going down on 5. And then you got Aguero, I think it's who 5 ends up blocking, takes 1 or like 1.5 false steps inside, and now they're on the edge. But the beautiful part for Georgia's defense is this was the 3rd longest run of the game. This was an 8-yard run. They had one later in the second half in the 3rd quarter. I think it was 10 yards, and then Arch's 21-yard scramble. That was it.
Yeah, coaches will be happy about that, especially considering what we've seen on tape up to this point in the season.
Malachi Starks, to me, played his tail off and was physical all game long. 13 tackles over the past 2 weeks, no missed tackles, just coming up fast, being physical. This is why, by the way, I always hate running the kind of slip screen stuff into the short side of the field, because Damon Wilson is the edge defender here, is able to get involved in the play very quickly, just being an athlete, turning, going. Any sort of cutback, he's right there.
It's here, coming out. Yeah. Kind of working on the phone booth a little bit.
Starks, like multiple times, taking notes in the game. Starks, exclamation point. Starks, exclamation point.
And I would say that's coming off two, I don't want to say bad, but at least more average games in his very stellar career. Last couple weeks have not been among his best. Brought it in this one.
Yeah, very much so.
Is this the one? Yeah, I think this is the one you said, oh, got a little lucky.
This is the one where sometimes it's better to be lucky because you play the reverse like you play the deep stuff perfectly. And you've got both linebackers, by the way. Look at them in unison almost. Step towards the QB. 5 and 3 right there. Right in the next step. Like both of them almost synchronized, stepping towards the quarterback. And I think he was so open that Ewers wanted to not miss it, that he kind of pulled the string on the throw a little bit. And it got, I think that ball barely gets over the O-line's head a little bit. And that's, I think, why the kid dropped it. I mean, yeah, but it's just some little bit. But yeah, that's a drop. Because otherwise, he catches that in stride or ball's put even a little bit out in front of him. I mean, that's green grass to no end.
And also, early first quarter, Georgia couldn't get anything going offensively in its first series.
Yeah,
things like this, yeah, but things like this really could change the tone of the game.
I think this was the first play after the pick. So sort of sudden change, and this happens, and then he drops it. By the way, if I'm Mike Bobo, I'm also kind of borrowing that at some point through the rest of the year. We'll throw back and then get the running back.
Would that be ETN in there?
Yeah, I would definitely do that.
Here's a pass interference, 3rd and
9. This is just great coverage from Starks.
This is Starks. I have my order out.
Yep.
Sorry. Next one's the PI. Yeah, Starks was fantastic on this.
Bring 5, play man, 1 with a kind of rat robber with Jackson there in the middle of the field. And by the way, this is something you see consistently with Georgia on 3rd down and what's going to be interesting in 2 weeks against Florida, especially in the first half, because you're not going to have Dan Jackson and you're not going to have Aguero. Like, who plays safety? Do they play Ja'Cory Thomas at the star and let him play man-to-man on people on 3rd downs? I don't know. Like, who even plays the star in the beginning? Or the other safety? Like, those two, that first half against Florida now is really a little wonky because of the 2 targeting penalties. But no, this is just great coverage. Nowhere else to go with the football.
I made the joke that Georgia was a couple targeting penalties from defensive backs from Kirby Smart grabbing that helmet again. This is the pass interference.
Well, they didn't call anything. This was, I wrote down, here's my note on that. By the way, just coverage from Humphrey. My note here is, if Humphrey was the receiver here, what's the call? Or is there a call? Like, pause it right there. Like, if he's the receiver, there's flags all over the field. But he's obviously the defensive back because 7 just yanks his left arm down.
Be careful talking about these refs in Texas, Brent. You may get a letter from some certified human.
From Birmingham, right? Yeah. But no.
Or Dallas at this rate.
But just what are we sort of highlighting here? Coverage. Like, this was something where down the field, 1, the throw's a little off, but 2, you didn't have people behind you like you saw against Mississippi State. You didn't lose. Your eyes weren't in the wrong place. By the way, when you also look at how do you rectify anything that you saw against Mississippi State, you had 3 players, Starks, Everett, and Humphrey, who did not leave the field, played all 80 snaps.
Consistency.
Yep. Which is, by the way, normal for them. This is awesome.
I knew when this happened, I was like, oh, Brent's going to gush about this one.
Well, I'm going to gush, and Texas fans, I'm sorry, I'm going to hate on your quarterback a little bit right here. How you not know what's going on right here? Because back to the snap. Let's go back to the snap. All right, you've got a 6-man pressure look, technically, if you count to the far right. Yeah, all those guys. There's 2 receivers. I think it's actually 3 to the left. I think it's trips left this empty backfield. Do you think they're just going to leave 2 uncovered right here? And by the way, what's even more interesting is prior to the snap, now granted, he's looking for the snap. Dan Jackson's backing away at safety over top of this. This is an easy tell for a QB that, hey, somebody is dropping into this area. And they go from giving a man look everywhere else to dropping into a 2-deep zone, cover 2 with eyes on the quarterback, and Everett just plays it perfectly. And Ewers just, like, this is one of those, as a defensive coach, you set the trap and the quarterback falls literally right into it.
And he did play on the ball.
I did think it was funny that Kirby said after the game, should have had a pick 6 or something like that, but hey, we caught it, so that's good. Him being the ultimate competitor thinks, oh, I should have had a pick 6 there.
Even this matchup over here, like, to me, maybe that's what Ewers was thinking. Oh, I have 85 on a corner. Like, size-wise, maybe that's what I'm thinking. But he doesn't go there. He goes to 2. So,
like, all this, to me,
if I see this, I'm thinking something out here.
Well, to me, it shouldn't be if I'm a quarterback, it should be an instant zone indicator. Because he's not guarding 85 man-to-man. He's going to guard 2 as a defensive back. He's going to guard 2. So that was one where I was shocked that he fell for that trap as an experienced QB as he is. Because, even watching on the screen, as soon as the ball was snapped, I'm like, uh-oh, pick.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is,
and by the way,
a veteran QB.
And Dayne Everett obviously gets a lot of not so positive vibes, and he's given up a lot of receptions. And still, in this game at least, he was 6 receptions on 7 targets, but it was only for 38 yards. And he did have this pick, and he did have the other humongous play. So just 2 absolute game-changing plays from him in this game.
We'll see the other one as our play of the game, separate short video that Breda Pest Management sponsors. Eyes on Jonel Aguero.
This is, if you're a defensive coach, this is like not nice, or I don't want to say other words, but this is awesome. If you're a defensive coach, because you win everywhere. Christian Miller destroys the center. Look at the center get pushed back 2 yards. Been playing phenomenal as a run defender. And he also gets in, sees it, boom, right there. No cutback now. You got chased down from Dayne. No cutback. Brinson wins, beats the left tackle, and Aguero keeps his outside shoulder free and then is physical in the tackle, and you got Dan Jackson filling the alley.
Dan Jackson's always in the alley. Right? Dan Jackson's in the alley. He's there.
Like, it's, if you're the defensive coaches are watching the film of that and just being like, throwing their hands up. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. That's how we play it. Down in, down out, like that sort of stuff. Everybody wins.
This is Arch Manning in the game at this point.
This is one where it's he's probably going to want this back. I think this is the one. Oh yeah, 3rd and 6. And he, what did we talk about with Arch? He wants to push the ball down the field, and he almost makes a great throw because Bolden is carrying the middle of the field there in the sort of in the look that they have, but he's going to be mad at himself when he pauses it right there and sees, I think it's Golden too, that is wide open in the middle of the field underneath. And the guy's even kind of like, dude, what are you not throwing me the ball for? Boom, right there, breaks in, just pause. Like, instantly saw this. This was a miss from him.
Yeah. So,
and you get good coverage everywhere, but
that's what was open. That's kind of where he was trying to throw to.
And this is one where they brought a little more guys. So sometimes, like we showed in the other video, you just make all the right decisions and everything's covered up. Sometimes it's not, and you get some help. This call, to me, was the absolute just maybe everything about this game was from this call. It's 4th and 1, and you run a reverse from the shotgun. Like, I get you're trying to hit a big play, but that call and that point of the game tells me everything about what you think confidence-wise in your offense to go get a yard.
It's bad enough that Georgia was trying to get 1 yard at the goal line from the shotgun. Didn't work, by the way. Rarely does. Which
And TID almost, and Ingram Dawkins almost makes the play here. And I think, by the way, I think he let go. I think he could have made the play, but I think he thought he was going to get like one of the horse collar penalties, and he kind of just let it be. So Chaz got sucked inside a little bit here. Couldn't get back out. Jackson got hit by the puller, and they get it. But the call to me is just screams. This is, how from a coaching perspective, what they thought about their offense and the ability to get a yard.
Well, it screams, we're not going to win up here. That's kind of what it screams.
Yep. 4th and 6. This is one from a choice perspective. I was very confused, and I think Herbstreit even pointed it out in the broadcast that right there, Golden 2 was open as a quick winner. But hey, Dayne, what was that thing we talked about in the whole other video? Odd mirror,
Odd
2
mirror.
man. 1, 2, 3. Odd. There's your mirror. Man to man everywhere else. 2 deep safeties. Money down. And then, by the way, just great coverage, great anticipation. Humphrey he was mad at himself obviously that he can get a pick 6, but that was one where if I'm a Texas fan and I'm watching yours, I'm like, okay, why are we looking there? Especially when you think about at this point in the game, you know what you're getting. So where am I going to go? I'm going to go where there's confusion, and I've got in essence a bunch set because of 3 receivers to the short side of the field. That was the place to go for that one.
Yeah. Again, a guy that's played as much football, potential draft pick. Woo!
Yep.
Last one here, and this is one that's not quite as great for Georgia, but
we're not ending on a positive note here. We're ending more on we started with this guy and we finished with this guy because I thought he would actually be big in this game, especially, and that's a great move by him, by the way, 6'5" guy making that move. But the thing with this player and scheme-wise, personnel-wise, all right, by the way, also let's watch Raylan Wilson and C.J. Allen here at linebacker. As Flo goes that way, and then the tight end crosses his face, watch what C.J. Allen does right here. He's like, dude, that was your guy. Points at him. They didn't let Helm do anything for the entirety of the game for the most part. Now, I will say, personnel-wise, one of the things that you have seen from Georgia in the past, say, 3-4 weeks, especially against certain teams, is when teams went 2 tight ends against them, they would oftentimes go a lot of base, where it would be Ingram Dawkins, Stackhouse, Christian Miller, plus Damon Wilson and Chaz, or Damon Wilson and some other edge defender. They only did that really in one series this game, the second series of the game. Outside of that, Aguero, like in that clip that we showed, he was in essence the outside backer. And like we showed with Tyke Smith a lot last year, being physical at the point of attack, being physical on the edge in the run game, that was his role. And I think that was almost purposeful because they didn't think that they would get out physicaled in the run game by Texas. And that's where 81 and 85 for them, like 85 was not necessarily a blocker. 81 was solid a blocker, but not great. And I think that's why you saw Georgia play Aguero a lot more than going with 2 kind of edge guys when there was 2 tight ends on the field.
For the potential of this team and just the way the schedule aligned for this particular game, for Georgia to go into Texas and out physical and outspeed and just be better. The entire defense was better than what Texas could do on offense. And Sark is an offensive genius. That's not in question. Didn't have the guys for Georgia in this game. For Georgia to have that going into its bye week, I think it's why the whole rest of the country feels great about Georgia again. Now, I can change. That schedule's not easy for Georgia down the stretch. Florida's playing better ball than they have been all year long. Destroyed Kentucky. Absolutely mauled them. Probably should have beaten Tennessee the week before.
Lagway brings a whole other element for them.
Right. Ole Miss coming down the pike. At Ole Miss.
On the road. Yeah, at Ole Miss.
And that offense is going to do some things that Texas's offense can't do.
And they have a couple of receivers, I think, that actually Texas Like Trey Harris, I think is better than any receiver that Texas has.
I
The
think
other thing too,
LSU is playing as like one of the top 10 teams in the country right now, and Ole Miss was beating them for an entire game. It took some kind of weird circumstances at
yeah,
the end for LSU to
some
fight back
Baton
in there.
Rouge mojo.
Yeah, a little,
To,
little magic down there.
and also like Tennessee. Now, granted, their offense has struggled, but their defense is not struggling, and their defensive line can keep them in any game, and they're going to keep them in every game. So, yeah, it does not get any easier for Georgia. But yeah, the way they play the way they did going into the bye week, that's as good as it gets for them.
If you're struggling, a couple of pick-me-ups to help you out. ASW Distillery has the Hunker Bourbon and Hunker Vodka. They like to say they are distilled by dogs. 5 of the 6 founders are UGA grads. Get ASW Bourbon. All the other spirits they have, too. The Hunker Bourbon is the one that I really love. Make sure that's at your home tailgate or the tailgate that you have at Sanford Stadium. If you're around there, you'll know that Breda Pest Management controls all the pests and critters at Sanford Stadium. And Brent, when it's getting cold like this, we have some things moving around here, going from one direction to the other. I have the woods of Oconee County behind my home right now, and so I've been trying to make sure that the critters stay away from my basement here. If you want to have that same great pest control that Sanford Stadium has, BredaPest.com is where you get that. And Oconee Gold Barbecue Sauce, they've joined us this year. OconeeGoldBBQSauce.com. If you use the promo code FilmDon'tLie, you get 20% off your entire order. And I think you should order everything that they have. And I'm not just saying that because I think you get a good deal off of it. It's really good stuff. I was using some of the white gold tonight. I had some chicken that we cooked. I just got back from Boston, and so my wife had some nice little roasted chicken ready to go, and I was like, all right,
Awesome.
I'm gonna go with the white gold on that. So OconeeGoldBBQSauce.com. That's George's.
Quickly, I was like quickly answering Kenny's question there. I think we face LSU in Atlanta. I think if you're trying to predict anything right now, it's just pointless to do so. It's going to get weirder and weirder every week, I think.
Couple key inflection points, so just schedule wise. One, yeah, Florida is playing better because of what it did to Kentucky. LSU did have one of the best little professional wins you can have going to Arkansas and playing clean.
Yep. Take care of business.
When you have that quarterback who is a professional quarterback, he will be an NFL player. I don't know how great, we'll see. But when you have that guy and you have 2 first-round tackles, that keeps you in pretty much every game you play, in my opinion, in a game that is largely dictated by passing excellence.
And their defense is getting better.
Defense is getting better. Skill guys are emerging. They have a little running back that they like a lot right now.
Freshman guy.
That's beginning to
Durham or Dunham, something like that.
I'm not quite there yet because I do need to see. They go to College Station this week.
Alabama 2 weeks later, or they get Alabama 2 weeks later.
They get Alabama at home. Now, they still have not lost a night game in Baton Rouge or Brian Kelly, so I like those odds better. But LSU, Texas A&M, if you just look at the top of the standings right now.
Right now it's for third place.
That is a massive game in the SEC. But I think your point is valid. Every week, you're going to have a massive game for the SEC. Texas has Vandy.
At Vandy.
If things get a little squirrely there, just say it. Just say it.
Oh, well.
Yeah, Austin says if Georgia wins out, they'll play in the SEC championship. Absolutely.
That is correct.
Absolutely. And there's a chance that if Georgia even drops one along the way, that they could get there. But man, there's going to be if it's a cluster of teams that have 2 losses and they've all lost to each other, then we get in some tiebreaker world. That's going to happen multiple times. Hey, thanks for watching this video on Georgia's defense. Make sure you check out what we did on how Georgia got pressure on Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. Will they play again? We'll find out later on, but we sure enjoyed breaking this down for you. Film Don't Lie from UGAsports.com.